everyone's journey of becoming a lawyer in Canada is so different that it's hard to say which one is better for you or which one is not good for you. Everyone's journey is good for them in their own ways, but I do think that there are different ways of approaching this lawyer licensing process, and any pathway that you choose, there are some advantages to it and there are some disadvantages to it. No path is perfect because everyone's situation is different. Something that is perfect for me may not be perfect for you, or something that is perfect for you may not be perfect for me. So it's hard to say which is better than the other, but I want to talk about different situations on how you can get licensed as a lawyer in Canada, and just from experience and looking at my friends, and share my experience as to what are some of the advantages of doing that and what are some of the disadvantages of doing that. And then hopefully this will help you in making a decision for yourself and just learning about different ways that you can get licensed. Scenario number one. Scenario number one would be where someone is in their hometown. So for example, they are, I don't know, maybe they are in China and they write their NCA exams online because they are allowed to. So they do all of their preparation in China and they write their NCA exams, and once they complete their exams, they come to Canada as permanent residents, and then they look for a job. They try to find articling, then they write the bar exams, and then finally they end up being licensed. So I guess what I'm stressing more in this scenario is that you're writing your NCA exams from home. Once you are done, that is when you move to Canada as a permanent resident or whatever immigration status you're on. I'm not going to be talking about immigration because it'll just get too complicated. So scenario one is somebody writes their NCA exams in their hometown, only moves to Canada after completing the exams, and then figuring out what do I need to do next, writing the bar exams, and then articling. What is the advantage to this? Well, the most obvious advantage in this situation is that this person doesn't have to move. So cost, saving money, and the stress of moving to a new place, settling in, and then preparing for the exams and then writing the exams. So this person is in their hometown, comfortable, studying at their own pace and writing the exams without actually being in Canada. So it's cost effective, I would say, in some aspects because you're not moving and you're in your own space, so no extra money other than obviously registration and paying for the exams. Advantage that I would see in this situation is kind of similar to the first one, is that you probably are building a skill of figuring things out on your own because, again, you're not in Canada, you're doing everything online, you're trying to figure out, okay, where to buy the notes, what to do. So you're developing that skill of kind of figuring out things when you're actually not even in that country. So I think that's an advantage because that's a skill that I feel like a lot of employers want, is like the ability to figure it out. Don't bother them, but figure it out. Moving on to disadvantage. So I feel like the advantages are also the disadvantages because first, because you're in a hometown, you're not actually seeing the profession. You don't get to experience the profession as someone who is here. You can't go to events. You don't know different lawyers here. You're kind of in your comfort zone at home. And doing the exams. So in my opinion, the disadvantage is that you're not actually looking or experiencing the profession through your own eyes by actually being physically present. And that is important. To me, that is important. For some people, maybe their circumstances don't allow them to be in Canada. It could be immigration. I don't know. But again, this I feel like is one of the disadvantages. The second disadvantage in this situation is when you move to Canada at a time where you're just actually looking for articling and you don't know anyone, you may end up spending some time looking for work. So it can get there's no guarantee, and when you move here you still have to figure out, okay, what the next steps are, and it'll take you some time to figure all of that out and eventually find something, or maybe make connections, or maybe have the opportunity to work somewhere. Whereas if you had moved earlier, you probably would have figured that out a bit earlier in that situation. So no network, having to figure it out all over again, it'll probably be hard to find work because you're new to the country and you've never been here. You are probably figuring that out, all of it, at a point where you have to look for articling. Now let's move on to scenario number 2. Scenario number 2 is someone who is in Canada and they live in Canada, they're working part-time somewhere at a law firm, and they're writing their NCEA exams online, and they're getting some sort of experience at a firm as a legal assistant or a law clerk. And once they finish this situation, the firm that they're at, they just hire this person as an articling student, and then they write their bar exams, and then they become licensed. In this scenario, the advantage, again, is that you are in Canada. While writing the NCEA exams, you're getting legal experience. You're working with lawyers. You're working in the field. You get to experience the profession while doing the NCEA exams. It'll make your NCEA exams easier too, because you are actually learning. You're learning the law, and you day to day you're learning the law, and it is going to obviously help you in any way. So that's the first advantage. The second advantage is networking opportunities. Because you're in Canada, you can use your time to connect with other lawyers. You can use your time to connect with other foreign lawyers. And you're getting experience, which I believe is very important because it can open a lot of doors for you. I have seen a lot of people who worked as legal assistants end up getting hired as articling students. So that's always good. What is the disadvantage in this situation? I think the disadvantage in this situation would be, sometimes I have seen that people who work as legal assistants or law clerks, if they end up finding articling at the same firm, sometimes they're not open to more and wider opportunities. So you can get stuck where you started. You really have to push yourself, and you really have to work intentionally if you want to get out of it. Because it's easy, you're already there. You can kind of get locked in this because you started there. It may not be the best firm for you. Who knows? Or it may be, I don't know. But all I'm saying is that because you start at a firm and you kind of just keep getting articling and then you get hired back, you may not look for other opportunities, or you may just feel like, oh yeah, this is enough for me. So it's something to be mindful of in this situation, because you'll probably be stuck. And I think if you want to be there, that's fine. But in my opinion, if you started somewhere, sometimes people just kind of stay there because it's just easier. Because you're an NCEA student, you will have to go out and look for opportunities like networking events. You're not really going to school, so you're going to have to put in that extra effort to look for it. It's not that big of a disadvantage, because if you are in Canada, and especially Toronto, and you're living in the city, it's kind of easier to find a lot of networking opportunities. But at the same time, it is something that you will have to put in a little bit of extra effort. Scenario number 3 is someone who came to Canada and is pursuing the LLM to fulfill their NCEA requirements. And once they complete the LLM, so they don't have to write the NCEA exams, they find a position through the LLM program, and they work there, and they end up getting hired, or they apply somewhere else, and then they write the bar exams, and then they're licensed. So I guess the thing that I'm stressing on in this scenario is that doing the LLM as opposed to doing the NCEA exams on your own. In this scenario, the biggest advantage is community. When you go to school and you meet lawyers and you are actually exposed to the legal community, that's a big thing for someone who has not worked as a lawyer, or they don't understand the system too much. Now, I know that some students, some foreign lawyers, come from a very similar situation. So for example, in the US, I know that lawyers in the US and Canada similar situation. Maybe for them, this may not be that big of an advantage. But for somebody like me who had never practiced before and I moved here and I had no idea, this is a really big advantage that you go to school, you make friends, you have a community, you're exposed to different activities, you learn from professors, you learn from lawyers, you go to these events, and it's a lot of networking, which is really, really beneficial for finding a job at the end of the day. Second advantage is that if an employer sees that, again, you have been to Canadian law school and they see a law school that they recognize, no matter what people say, it seems familiar. If I look at a resume and I'm like, oh, this person went to Aussie, it's just familiar. It's not that it's good or bad or someone is better than the other. It just looks like, oh, okay, this seems a little bit familiar. So, it is a brand name at the end of the day, and it will probably get you to the door. So, for example, a lot of employers, if they're looking at resume and see that you went to a Canadian law school, they may want to hire you, or they may at least want to see you in person and interview you. No matter what people say, it is a brand name, and I feel like that is what you actually pay for. The disadvantage in this situation, again, it's very costly. So financial stability is really important. The LLM is very expensive in Canada, and it's maybe twice or 3 to 4 times the money that you're going to be spending if you were to just write the NCA exam. So something that you have to keep in mind, because is it worth it for you or not? That's the question that you want to ask yourself, because it is expensive. The second disadvantage that I would say is that for some people, the LLM may not really actually teach them anything. Like I said, when foreign lawyers come to Canada, they come from different levels of experience or backgrounds. For someone who has actually been practicing for 10 years, I don't know how much this LLM would be beneficial for them. Are they actually learning anything? Maybe not. It really depends on what your expertise are and where you're at in your career. So with the LLM, it's kind of like where are you at in your career, and what are you willing to get out of it. So the LLM may help you fulfill the NCA requirements, but in a situation where somebody's really experienced, may not really be beneficial in any other way. These are all the scenarios that are coming to my mind right now. If you're somebody who had a different scenario, please let us know so that other people can read it. And just remember that whatever journey or whatever your experience is or will be, just don't compare your journey to anyone else's. And everyone's just going their own path, and whatever path you choose, it just has to work out for you, not anybody else.